So today we had some exciting news for Tesla stock and the overall markets that I want to go ahead and touch on because we're starting to see something that I talked about in one of my previous videos start to unravel with the overall markets. Now, when we take a look at Tesla stock, it's actually having one of its first green trading days dating back to December 28th, and it's actually bouncing off of this area where it was pretty much a support. Now, if you guys watched one of my recent videos, I highlighted how the S&P 500, although it was falling downwards, it was still in a pretty constructive consolidative phase, because one of the things I highlighted was the fact that we wanted to kind of look more towards market breadth and look at the S&P 500, which is equally weighted, which is ticker symbol RSP. Now, the reason why I said we wanted to take a look at ticker symbol RSP, which is the S&P 500 equally weighted, was because while the S&P 500 was falling downwards, the equally weighted version was actually consolidating. And so in that previous video, I was talking about how Apple has a huge weighting in the overall index, and because Apple was something that was getting downgraded by a lot of institutions, as well as I said, long before, that Apple was pretty much dead money for right now. Well, Apple falling down was causing the markets to fall downwards. But again, when you look at market breadth, things were pretty much holding up, and I saw this was something that we wanted to watch, because if we start bouncing up from here, well, that means things could actually continue going upwards, and that's exactly what we ended up seeing for today. But we also got this tweet from Sawyer Merritt highlighting that for the first time ever, Tesla has more market share in the United States than Volkswagen or Subaru, and how Tesla captured 4.20% of market share in the United States in 2023. And I want to reiterate that this isn't just EV market share, this is just general market share, meaning all the cars, right? Including the internal combustion engine vehicles. And so this was pretty interesting and also kind of ironic, being that it was 420. There was a lot of jokes about that on X, but in all seriousness, this is definitely great news. But today we also saw Nvidia stock pretty much break out of this trend and go upwards, and it pretty much just went straight upwards like a rocket. So for those of you guys within the Push and Profit private group, you guys are probably ecstatic right now, as Nvidia was actually one of the swing trade ideas I highlighted back in December, and I mentioned it back in one of the private videos I uploaded for those within the Push and Profit private group. But I also have the screenshot right over here dating back to December 21st, highlighting how Nvidia was also on watch for a breakout along with some other ideas. Now, again, I did cover everything else that was in that screenshot because, again, that's kind of exclusive for those within the Push and Profit private group, but also not only just the technical aspect of Nvidia breaking out from this area, I also highlighted the next day on December 22nd, how we had Nancy Pelosi buying $5 million worth of Nvidia call options, and how this actually aligns with the idea of an upside for Nvidia. And for those of you guys that are new to the channel and are kind of wondering why am I even bringing up Nancy Pelosi and the stock market, well, one of the things I often say on this channel is that you want to look at alternative data and see what our politicians or the people in Congress are buying or selling, because oftentimes they trade, and I don't want to say it, but they trade with insider information, especially when a lot of them make trades on stocks related to committees that they sit on. In fact, look at this chart right over here, where we see how Congress has done in 2023 in regards to the S&P 500. You see the S&P 500 over here doing 24%. Well, Nancy Pelosi did 3 times what the S&P 500 did back in 2023. Now, again, this isn't just 2023 in silo. We actually see this happening repeatedly, where a bunch of members in Congress always and often outperform the markets, and they build a ton of wealth by doing this. And I mean, you have to think about it. These politicians, they go into office making $200,000 a year, which is definitely a decent salary in America, but they end up retiring with net worths of over 200 million. And I'm gonna tell you, it's not from their salaries, it's from the trades that they end up making, especially when you have insider information on the trades that you're making. And so this kind of was very good news for those within the Push and Profit private group, because we saw, again, Nvidia skyrocket. But going back to Tesla, one of the things I mentioned was that going back into the 3rd of January of this year, we had Kathy Wood put about $25 million worth into Tesla stock, and I said that this was pretty interesting because she bought it at a time where now Tesla was consolidating, and that this could possibly be an area of support, which is why I said that this was a pivotal area to watch. And what we saw for today was, again, Tesla stock actually going upwards. Now, typically when I do these videos, I have a portion of it where I go ahead and hop into my laptop, and this is typically where we go ahead and parse through the price action of Tesla. We also talk about some economic events or catalyst events coming towards the markets, which could have a huge influence on Tesla stock or the overall markets. However, I do have to admit that this video is slightly different simply because my laptop has been suffering from something called blue screen of death, and it's been pretty much making me pull my hair out as I've been trying every single option to fix it. And so for this video, we're not going to go ahead and hop into my laptop, but if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing, because the minute I fix this, we're going to go ahead and continue on a regular schedule and continue making those videos where we go ahead and do a deeper dive into Tesla stock and the overall markets. But with that said, hopefully you guys don't suffer from blue screen of death in the near future as well, and I'll see you guys on the next video.